Hi beautiful, welcome to my channel. In today's video we are going to be reviewing a new palette from Nomad Cosmetics. Valentine's Day is around the corner and a lot of makeup brands love to do Valentine's Day releases. In Nomad's case, they're releasing this palette right here. It's called Verona Amore e Morte. I don't know how to read in Italian, but it's called Verona Love and Death. This is the exterior packaging of the palette, obviously inspired by Romeo and Juliet, and it opens right here in the center. One side of the palette is very girly, very pink, very Valentine's Day pink pukey, what a lot of brands do. But the cool thing about this palette is that it also has the Morte side right here, which is dark and sultry and smoky, and in my opinion much more interesting than the other side. I do have an affiliate code with Nomad Cosmetics. It is Patty10, so if you are by any chance interested in buying this palette, please use code Patty10 at checkout. And in today's video I plan to do a couple of looks. I'm going to do maybe one look with each side, or maybe I'll do one look with the side that I like best and one look where I kind of combine them both, because I don't think I'm in the mood for all of this pink and red today, like on its own. I do, however, think it would be interesting to combine some of these colors with some of these colors over here. So that is what we're doing. I'm going to be swatching everything for you, of course, and I'm excited. So if you are too, don't forget to please give the video a thumbs up before you leave, and let's get started. So I'm going to start by swatching the Love side of the palette, and I'm going to go from Paradise to Cupid to Balcony, and then the second row, and so on and so forth. So here's the shade Paradise, and Cupid comes next. I love how reflective Cupid is, really stunning. Then we have the shade Balcony, which is a really bright pink shade, and the shade Rose next, which looks very similar to Balcony. I think these two might be a bit on the redundant side. This one definitely has more red in it. Moving on to the color Love, which is a bright red matte shade, and then we have the color Romeo right here, which is another shimmer shade, a much darker pink in this case. Then we have the color Light, which is another red color. Like I said, I find a lot of the shades on this side of the palette to be pretty repetitive. Finally, we have the duochrome Comedy, which is a red with golden sparkles, and the shade Quill, which is the darkest one of this palette, and it's like a very deep red shade. So take a look right here at the swatches of the Love side of this Nomad palette. Everything looks very beautiful, very intensely pigmented, and so hopefully these shades perform amazingly on the eyes. But to me, this is a lot of pink and red, okay? I know it's Valentine's Day, but wow. So I'm definitely much more excited for the other side of this palette, which we'll swatch next. So moving on to the other side of the palette, we have the shade Tomb, which is a light gray shade. And then I have the color Morse right here, which is definitely very interesting. It's like a very light golden shade. Inferno next, which is a darker gray matte. And fourth, we have the color Juliet, which is a shimmering blue. Following those up with the color Death, which is a very intense matte black. And then we have the shade Poison, which I'm very excited about because it's a stunning dark navy blue matte. And then the color Dagger, which is also a matte but a much lighter one, and I love this cool toned purpley shade. And then the last two colors, which are Dark, which is a stunning shimmer duochrome shade. Actually, this one is called Tragedy, my bad. And then this more burgundy shade down here is the one that's called Dark. So take a look right there at the swatches of the Death part of this palette. As I told you guys before, this side is much more interesting to me. It definitely has colors that I gravitate towards a lot more, and I'm excited to play with it for sure. Okay, so let's get started with the first look, and I think for the first look I might do the one combining both palettes. So I'm going to start with the shade Paradise up here because this could be a really good transition shade. And with a REPHR number 15 brush, I'm going to tap that shade on the upper side of the crease of my eye. And once I have enough color, which was very easy to get there because it was very pigmented, I'm going to swipe back and forth to diffuse that top edge. A little bit more of that shade, and I'm going to tap it on the outer corner of the eye and just blend back and forth. I think I'm going to move on to the shade Dagger right over here on this side, and I'm using a blending brush from REPHR for this one. I'm going to add it on top of my pink shade on the outer corner of the eye, just tapping it in place first. I really love how those two colors combined. It looks beautiful so far. And with the tip of my brush, I'm going to back and forth blend that shade inwards ever so slightly and upwards to blend it better into our crease shade as well. I'm fighting my desire to go too dark, but I do think I want to do the shade dark on the outer corner. I grabbed just a little bit just to intensify things a bit more right back here and blend it into my eyelid ever so slightly. I'm not going to blend it a lot higher, but just on the outer corner and forward. And back with my blending brush, nothing added. I'm just going to blend that upper edge so that things look seamless. Just like that. Here, I'm going to grab the shade Juliet right here with the REPHR number 2 brush. And I'm going to tap that color right in the center of my eyelid. Just tap it, tap it, tap it all the way to the crease and blend it back a bit into my matte shades. So far, I'm really liking how this is turning out. Back with a little bit of my matte shades on my blending brush. I'm going to make sure that the matte and the shimmer blend smoothly, swiftly into one another. And then I'm going to grab the color Cupid here with a REPHR number 28. Loaded my brush and I'm going to add Cupid to the inner part of my eyelid and bring it in halfway. So take a look right there. That is how we're looking. I'm kind of surprised to see that the pink and the blue don't look that different from one another because they both are kind of like dual chrome shades, but it looks really beautiful. And I'm wondering whether or not I should darken up the outer corner more, but I think I'm going to do a very dark look on this side, so I'm just going to leave it like that, and I'm going to move on to the under eye area. Also, for some reason you can't really see it there, but if I turn my head down, I think you can see it a bit more. I have quite a bit of fallouts right underneath my eye, so I would definitely recommend to do your eyes before you do your complexion. For the purposes of today's video, I did not do that, which might have been a mistake. I'm going to see if I can swipe off some of this pigment down here because it looks dark underneath my eyes right now. Okay, now that I've swiped it, I think I made it worse, and you can definitely see it now, and it's not going anywhere. I grabbed a bit of translucent powder on my fluffy brush, and I am kind of swiping it away a bit better with the translucent powder. Either that or it's covering it, but the point is that it's not as bad as it was earlier. For the under eye, I'm going to go in with the color Dark right here in my REPHR number 3 brush, and I'm going to swipe that color back and forth right under my lash line. I think all the way to the tear duct area, because why not? And with a REPHR number 13, which is this tiny fluffy brush, and the shade Paradise, I'm going to smoke that out by just rubbing my brush back and forth underneath the darker shade. For my inner corner, just to add a bit more contrast, I'm going to try the color Morse right here. There isn't really another shade I could use either. This isn't the lightest color, but I feel like it'll work right there. For my waterline, I'm going to use this NYX Graphic Purple eyeliner just to tie it all together, and this right here is the finished first look, mixing both sides of this palette. So I'm going to move on to look number 2, and then we'll do mascara and all of that. I'm going to start the second look with the shade Tomb on my REPHR number 15. Light gray shade all throughout the crease of my eye, just back and forth with my REPHR number 15. And we want to get a nice ashy wash of color all throughout the crease. Moving on to a smaller blending brush, I'm going to grab Dagger once again because this color is just kind of perfect. And I'm going to blend Dagger onto the outer corner of my eye and into the crease ever so slightly. Just back and forth right here. And I think we're going to do a halo eye for this one, so I'm going to put it on the inner part of the eyelid as well and blend it up into the crease. With a REPHR number 1, I'm going to get the color Poison And I'm going to keep on darkening the outer and inner corners of the eye with this one. So starting on the outer corner, tapping it in place first, and then I'm going to start blending it up a bit. Not too diffuse, but we want to definitely blend the colors into one another. This navy blue shade is very, very pigmented. I sometimes complained with Nomad palettes that there are shades that are a bit harder for me to use than others, but I have not found any shades like that in this palette. All of these have been very pigmented and very blendable right away. Wow, I feel like the blue totally took over the whole look, so I'm not going to put that blue on the inner corner as well. I'm going to leave the color Dagger on the inner part of the eye so that I have a bit more of a contrast, because the blue took over everything I had done before. And with a bit of Dagger on the tip of this brush, I'm going to blend this upper edge. I'm going to grab the color Tragedy next on a REPHR number 28 brush, and I'm going to put that shade Tragedy right over here on the outer half of the center of the eyelid and blend it back into that navy color. Okay, I really like this. This looks really pretty. And I'm just tapping it in place. With a REPHR number 2, I'm going into the color Morse, and I'm going to put it on the inner half of the center of the eyelid, blend it into the color Tragedy right here. Actually, I'm going to go all the way in. This is no longer a halo eye, but I just want this shade on the inner corner of the eye as well, because it looks really pretty in there. All the way in. A bit more Tragedy. I'm taking it to the center of the eye. Back with a bit of translucent powder, taking off any major fallout down here. And I'm going to use this black eyeliner from Anastasia in my waterline and right underneath my lashes a bit. With a REPHR number 3 in the dark navy shade, I'm going to smoke things up underneath my eye halfway through, making sure it connects to the end back here. And with my REPHR number 13, I grabbed the lightest gray shade called Tomb, and I'm going to smoke out my entire lash line. So underneath the navy blue and all the way to my tear duct area, just back and forth. That made things a lot lighter down here, so I'm going back with the blue just a bit. I didn't add anything to the brush, just whatever remaining product it had, because I do want that blue to be visible underneath the eye. Okay, so see how all of this looks kind of dark and grayish and dull? It's because I have a lot of eyeshadow that fell underneath my eye on my concealer, and it's making it look like that. So I'm going to perform makeup surgery. I have a makeup wipe. I'm just going to take off my concealer, reapply it, and I'll be right back to show you the final looks. I'll also put on some mascara and lashes, so give me a second. And I am back with my mascara on, and I also put on some Ardell lashes. So these right here are my final looks. This one is love and death kind of mixed together, and then this one is only using the death side of the palette. And I gotta admit, I actually really love the way both of the looks turned out. I definitely was not sure about this side of the palette, and me personally, I don't think I would use it on its own, because it's like red and pink overload, which I don't tend to prefer, but mixing some of these colors the way I did with the colors on this side of the palette definitely works much better for me. And as far as this look is concerned, I definitely love how shiny the shimmer shades are, and I love how dark and sexy and sultry it is. So overall, definitely not a bad palette. All of the formulas in here, from what I can tell, are going to perform very nicely. Everything was easy to use. I didn't have any of those shades that you kind of try and blend and they go away. So this one, I gotta say, was definitely a good one, and I ended up liking the looks that I created with it a lot more than I thought I would. Like, I thought I was going to give the palette like a 7 out of 10, but seeing the looks I can create with it, it's going to be an 8.5. Remember, if you are interested in buying this palette and you want to save 10%, to use my code PATTY10 at checkout. Otherwise, I just hope this video was entertaining and maybe you have some similar shades at home that you can recreate these looks with. I definitely did have a blast playing with this palette today, and I can't wait to read your thoughts down in the comment section. So let me know what you think of this one down there. And if you're interested in finding out about any other product I might be wearing on my face today, the list of products is down below in the description box. Anyways, I love you guys so much. Thank you for watching today's video. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope to see you back in the next one. Bye.